I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I actually feel for Chelsea fans. I really do. I am absolutely gobsmacked at what is happening at Chelsea. It's not the fans' fault that 600 million has been spent and Tuchel was sacked and Potter was brought in, and it's not the fans' fault that the players can't seem to do anything right on the pitch. It's not their fault that Potter can't seem to get the team to gel a little bit quicker with all the new signings and just score a goal, let alone win a game. It's not the fans' fault. And I genuinely do have a bit of sympathy. And I thought, do you know what? I'm actually going to make a video because I've been quite openly... I've had a lot of criticism for Chelsea, especially in the January transfer window. With the amount of money they spent, it's very difficult for non-Chelsea fans to not see something like that and just ignore it. You're going to talk about it. It's something we've never seen in football before. A team with so much money ploughed into the first team and just struggle. And I've got to be honest, at times it's quite hilarious because they've clearly gone about it the wrong way. They've invested that money and it isn't working. Okay, but it then turns into sympathy. I actually, like I said, I feel for Chelsea fans. So I'm going to break down what I think is happening. We're going to talk about this result. We just saw Chelsea lose 2-0 to Tottenham. And it was a soulless performance. Again, just a lack of anything. Anything. We throw words around like fluidity, togetherness, chemistry, and possession, tiki-taka. And there's so many ways to describe football. But with Chelsea, it's just, there's nothing there. There's nothing. There's no cohesion there. It doesn't look like a team playing as a team. And they don't look like they're going to get a win anytime soon. I wish Arsenal were playing the Chelsea game in a few days' time. It's the perfect time to play Chelsea. Who knows what's going to happen with Potter? The game finished about 10 minutes ago. He could be already gone. Let's have a look at the result here. And no, I'm obviously not a Chelsea fan. And yes, I do a lot of Arsenal content. So maybe a lot of Chelsea fans are just going to watch this and think, you've got no right to talk about my club. But it doesn't matter what you think. I'm going to be making this video for everyone to watch. If you want to watch it, that's great. If you don't, that's fine by me. But I've got a lot of thoughts on this, so that's why I'm doing this. But crazy first half with the VAR check debacle. The game itself was terrible, but I mean, those 5 minutes of madness. Why aren't the referees mic'd up? Why isn't the VAR team mic'd up? I would love to hear what's going on there. Apparently, the red card had to be given so then the referee could go over and check the monitor. I mean, it's a stupid rule. Why not just go and check the monitor? Why are we overcomplicating things? It was never a red card. Thiago Silva picking up the injury really didn't help, of course. And conceding within, I think it was 25 seconds of the second half. Great goal from Skip, his first goal for the club. Or at least first goal in the Premier League, maybe. Harry Kane obviously finished it off, 82nd minute with a great... It was a corner that was just flicked on, and there he is, back post. That's where Kane lives. And they threw on those substitutions. Mudryk, Aubameyang, nothing. Just... It's shocking, isn't it? When you spend that kind of money and this is what they're putting out. Fernandes, Enzo Fernandez is brand new, and 120 million is a lot of money, of course. But I think it's very early to judge if that's a good signing or a bad signing. He clearly has quality. And I feel like it's the same with Mudryk. Very new signing, but you can see there is a player there. He is going to be a very good player. Whether it's going to be at Chelsea, who knows? But there are certain players that I need to talk about. Sterling has not done enough at Chelsea since he signed. Koulibaly, what happened to him? At Napoli, one of the best centre-backs in European football. At least, top 20. You would easily throw him into that top 30. A fantastic centre-back. Garbage at Chelsea. Genuinely woeful. Havertz, he's been at the club for a few years now. Of course, he had that huge goal in the Champions League final, which won them the final. But in general, awful. Just a bad signing. How is Loftus-Cheek starting for Chelsea in 2023? Injuries? Jorginho could have been there today. Just saying. Reece James has been injured most of the season, had a bit of a rusty game. Thiago Silva, I think, very unlucky with the injury. He's their best player most of the time. It's not looking good, is it, for Chelsea? It really isn't. When you see the money they've spent and you see the team they're actually putting out, it's worrying. And, you can look at the Tottenham side there. That's Romero behind my camera. Richarlison, we've got to say it as well, unbelievable how no one is really talking about the fact that he cost them, what, £60 million, and he still hasn't even scored in the Premier League for Tottenham yet, and we're almost in March. That's shocking, but you can see he contributes, you know, that aggression that he brings. Højbjerg, fantastic in midfield. But on another day, Tottenham lose this game and everyone's going on about how bad they are. But the focus of today is on this. We can look at the subs, man. Fofana obviously came on for the injury. Zakaria did okay. Mason Mount, there's a weird thing between Potter and Mason Mount. He seems to love Mount. I don't really see anything in Mount. I don't think he's that good of a player, genuinely. There are so many players in his position that are better, in my opinion. Mudryk, Aubameyang. Madueke not even getting on the pitch. I thought Badiashile was doing fantastic for Chelsea, getting clean sheets. What happened there? And obviously they do have a lot of injuries, but I don't see how Kante really improves the side that much these days. I mean, he hasn't been good for about a year and a half, 2 years. This is an Arsenal fan talking. I haven't watched Chelsea every game, but I haven't seen Kante lighting up the Premier League like he used to. Mendy's average. Pulisic, I mean, Azpilicueta's dusted. Absolutely way past it. And, you know, Broja maybe would chip in with a few goals, but even with these players in the team and fit, I don't actually see how it improves the team that much. I think just genuinely, they're having a terrible time. All their players seem to be struggling. And we can see the stats here today. To go to a club or a stadium, where you've never conceded before. Chelsea, before this game, had never conceded in the new Tottenham ground. And to turn up and get 0.41 expected goals with 10 shots, I mean, I don't understand it at all. Did really well possession-wise, but when you watch the game, you know, stats mean nothing. If you just watch the game, you can see that Chelsea have meaningless possession. Just, there's nothing there. Let's have a look at the run of games since the World Cup. So they came back from the World Cup, 2-0 win against Bournemouth. And you're probably thinking, okay, they had a good reset over the World Cup and certain players are going to come back in form. Oh boy. Draw, loss, loss, loss. A win against Palace, draw, loss, loss. And then today a loss. 2 wins in 16, I believe. I mean, that's relegation form. That is simply not good enough. And if Abramovich was still in charge, Potter wouldn't have made it this far, but he would be sacked before he even gets to the changing room. Okay? In my opinion, and even though it's horrible to say it, but I believe that Potter's position is now untenable. He has to go. He has to. There's no way. They might win against Leeds, but then they've got Dortmund, Leicester away, as we saw yesterday with Arsenal, not an easy fixture. Everton at home, you never know with Dyche. She could set up 10 men behind the ball. Chelsea might not score there. Villa, really difficult game. They've got so many home games here. But then Liverpool, Wolves away, Brighton at home. I think they could lose to Brighton. Away to Old Trafford, that's a loss. I mean, they need to shake it up. They need to do something now. But what do you do? Just look at the table, guys. You can't even see them. They're all the way down in 10th. And they are one of 2 clubs that have not won a game in the last 5. Crystal Palace, just draws and 1 loss. Chelsea, 3 draws, 2 losses. There's not a single win in their last 5 games. I mean, it's scarily bad. It really is. And if you look really closely, Aston Villa, who are, I think, on a bit of a nice trend at the moment with a huge win against Everton, they might start, winning a lot of games in a row. Even Nottingham Forest only being 6 points behind them, and that's just 2 wins. Palace, 4 points behind them. It's a scary thought that if Chelsea go another 4 or 5 games like this, we could be seeing them down in 13th, 14th. And that is when you start thinking, this is more than a crisis. This is a nightmare. This is an actual issue. In the summer, players will not join. I think you can get away with the 10th. We've seen that before with Chelsea it wasn't even a few years ago. Which was it the season before Conte joined and then he won the league with them? They finished like 8th, 9th, 10th, whatever. They were still able to pull in big names, like Arsenal have with finishing 8th twice in a row. We've still been able to bring in some big names like Jesus and, it's still possible. But I think when you start, I don't see that happening. I really don't. I found some tweets that I thought were interesting talking points. So This is what has happened since Bowley's come in with the managerial merry-go-round at Chelsea, okay? So they had to pay big money to lose Tuchel. When you're employed, okay, whether it's football, other businesses, whatever, if you're under a contract, you're owed that money. If you get sacked, they have to pay you off. There is some sort of compensation package. It happens everywhere in the world. If you're laid off from your job, you're most likely going to get a couple of months' salary maybe to help you get into your next role. In football, it's millions, especially if they sign big contracts. Tuchel was on a lot of money. Who knows how much that compensation package was? Let's just throw out 10 million, okay? They then paid 19 million pounds to free Potter from his Brighton contract, and then they agreed to pay him 12 million over 5 years. Okay, so let's say 19 million plus the 10 plus the... I mean, it's so much money already. Let's just call it 40 million so far. Now, if they sack Potter, they'll have a compensation package there, and we'll just include that into the 40, because, you know, the numbers aren't exactly perfect, right? And then they're going to go and get a new manager. Who's available right now? If they want someone that's already managing a club, guess what? They're going to have to pay a huge release clause or whatever you want to call that, a compensation package to that club, and then pay them new wages. And guess what? Any manager in world football, if you're at the top of your game, Simeone's, Pochettino's, whoever's, you could demand whatever you want. Chelsea will be desperate. They'll be saying, please, we need you. Please come and rescue us. And they won't say that, but the managers that they approach will know that Chelsea are desperate, and they will say, in their minds, I would have taken 100k, but because of that mess you're in, I'll take 200 now, please. Scary thought, really. This is shocking. It really is. Losing Tuchel was always going to be a bad idea, and when it happened, I was gobsmacked. Tuchel is one of the very best. He's never lost to Tottenham. He's never lost to Tottenham. They wouldn't have lost today if Tuchel was in charge. We've also got this one. I love this football club. I can't stand Potter. I want to trust the process, but this guy just isn't it. We've become a joke, and this really relates to how I felt towards the end of Arsene Wenger's tenure and also under Emery towards the end. It's this bit. I want to trust the process. It just wasn't it. We've become a joke. That's what Arsenal were. We were a banter club. Comedy FC. You know, Comedy Club FC, whatever you wanted to call us. That is now what Chelsea fans are feeling. It's a horrible place to be because you want to back the manager, you want to back the process and trust it, but you can just tell. I knew Emery wasn't the man. I knew it. Everyone could tell this wasn't going to be a long appointment. We wanted it to be. We wanted him to be the successor of Arsene Wenger. Just as Chelsea fans would have loved Potter to have worked. A youngish English manager that clearly has coaching abilities that are above average. He did very well with Brighton, although Brighton have done very well without him as well. You have to say, De Zerbi's done a good job, but I think Chelsea fans would have loved to have said that in 4 or 5 years, Potter would still be there. They were winning Champions League, winning Premier Leagues, but it's very obviously not going to happen. And then this one, 2 wins in 16, but 1 goal in our last 6 games. Get Potter gone now. I mean, that is pretty damning, isn't it? I mean, this is bad enough, 2 wins in 16, but 1 goal in 6 games when you've invested 600 million in a squad in the last 7 months. I mean, that's awful. But this is the best stat of them all. Arsenal would still be ahead of Chelsea in the Premier League, even if you only counted Arsenal's away results. I think that's the best way to sign off this video. Obviously, I'm an Arsenal fan, and there is some enjoyment to be had when you see other clubs, especially rivals like Chelsea, struggling. And I'm sorry, Chelsea fans, I really am. You're going through a tough period right now, but the fact is you've had a hugely successful last decade or two. Arsenal haven't won the Premier League since 2004. We've been through many, many issues, just like you're going through right now. But if Potter's the answer, we would have seen it by now. And I think it probably is too late. That's just my thoughts. And you know what? I might make a video on the Newcastle United game if something interesting happens. I don't know. I like doing one-off videos like this every now and again. Operation Football, if you will. Chelsea, well and truly struggling at the moment. And I feel for the fans. I do.